Romeo and Juliet is one of William Shakespeare's most famous and frequently performed plays. Despite being a play, many people read the story in book form. It is such an important story that we had to make a video summary for it. This iconic tragedy explores the themes of love, fate, conflict, and tragedy. In this video, we will delve into a detailed synopsis of the storyline, examine its major themes, offer a critique, explore the historical context in which it was written, and provide a brief biography of William Shakespeare. Romeo and Juliet is set in Verona, Italy, and tells the story of two young lovers whose deaths ultimately reconcile their feuding families. The play opens with a street brawl between the servants of the noble families of Capulet and Montague, highlighting the deep-seated animosity between the two houses. The play begins with a public brawl between the servants of the feuding noble families of Capulet and Montague, which is broken up by the Prince of Verona, who decrees death for any individual who disturbs the peace in the future. Meanwhile, Romeo Montague is infatuated with Rosalind, who does not return his affections. His friends Benvolio and Mercutio persuade him to attend the Capulet ball in hopes of finding another woman. At the ball, Romeo meets and falls in love with Juliet Capulet. Despite knowing their families are enemies, they are both smitten. They exchange vows of love during the famous balcony scene and decide to marry in secret. With the help of Friar Lawrence, who hopes to reconcile the families through their union, Romeo and Juliet are married the next day. Juliet's nurse is aware of the marriage and assists in the arrangements. Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, challenges Romeo to a duel for sneaking into the Capulet ball. Romeo, now secretly married to Juliet, refuses to fight. Mercutio accepts Tybalt's challenge on Romeo's behalf and is killed. Enraged, Romeo kills Tybalt in revenge and is banished from Verona by the prince. Juliet is heartbroken over Tybalt's death and Romeo's banishment. Friar Lawrence devises a plan for Romeo to spend the night with Juliet and then flee to Mantua until things can be smoothed over. Juliet's parents, unaware of her marriage to Romeo, arrange for her to marry Paris, a kinsman of the prince. Juliet seeks Friar Lawrence's help to avoid this second marriage. The friar gives her a potion that will make her appear dead for 42 hours. She will be laid to rest in the Capulet tomb, and Romeo will retrieve her when she awakens. Juliet takes the potion, and her seemingly lifeless body is discovered the next morning. The Capulet family, believing she is dead, entombs her in their family crypt. Friar Lawrence's letter explaining the plan to Romeo is delayed. Romeo learns of Juliet's death from his servant Balthazar, and heartbroken, buys poison from an apothecary. He returns to Verona and visits Juliet's tomb, where he encounters Paris. They duel and Paris is killed. Believing Juliet to be truly dead, Romeo drinks the poison. As he dies, Juliet awakens. Seeing Romeo dead beside her, she stabs herself with his dagger. The play concludes with the discovery of their bodies by the Capulet and Montague families and the prince. In their grief, the families reconcile and end their feud. Themes: the power of love. Love is the central theme of Romeo and Juliet. The play explores the intensity of young love, portraying it as a powerful and transformative force. Romeo and Juliet's love defies social conventions and family loyalty, leading them to defy their families and risk everything to be together. Their love is both a source of profound joy and immense tragedy. Fate and destiny. Fate plays a crucial role in the lives of Romeo and Juliet. The concept of star-crossed lovers suggests that their love and deaths are predestined. The play is filled with references to fate and the idea that their destinies are sealed. The prologue foreshadows their tragic end, and numerous omens and premonitions throughout the play reinforce the theme of fate. Conflict and feud. The destructive power of the feud between the Capulets and Montagues drives the plot of the play. The senseless violence and hatred between the two families result in the deaths of Romeo and Juliet. The play critiques the impact of long-standing grudges and the cycle of revenge, highlighting the need for reconciliation and peace. The inevitability of death. Death is an ever-present theme in Romeo and Juliet. The play opens with a street brawl and concludes with the tragic deaths of the two lovers. The inevitability of death underscores the fleeting nature of life and the urgency of Romeo and Juliet's love. Their deaths ultimately lead to the reconciliation of their families, suggesting that death can bring about profound change. Youth and passion. The impulsive and passionate nature of youth is central to the play. Romeo and Juliet's decisions are driven by intense emotions rather than rational thought. Their youthful passion leads to hasty decisions and ultimately their downfall. The play captures the intensity and recklessness of young love, as well as the potential consequences of such impetuousness. Individual versus society. Romeo and Juliet's love exists in opposition to the expectations and norms of their society. They challenge the authority of their families, the prince, and social conventions in their quest to be together. Their struggle reflects the tension between individual desires and societal pressures, raising questions about the balance between personal happiness and social responsibility. Romeo and Juliet is widely regarded as one of Shakespeare's greatest works and a seminal piece of Western literature. Its compelling characters, emotional intensity, and exploration of universal themes have made it a timeless classic. Character development. Shakespeare's characters are richly drawn and complex. Romeo and Juliet's evolution from naive, passionate youths to tragic figures is both believable and heartrending. Supporting characters like Mercutio, Tybalt, and the nurse add depth and richness to the narrative. Poetic language. Shakespeare's mastery of language is evident in the play's beautiful and evocative verse. The poetic language captures the intensity of the characters' emotions and enhances the play's themes. Famous passages like the balcony scene and Juliet's soliloquy are celebrated for their lyrical beauty. Emotional resonance. The play's exploration of love, fate, and tragedy resonates deeply with audiences. The story of Romeo and Juliet's ill-fated love is universally relatable, evoking empathy and reflection on the nature of love and loss. Dramatic structure. The play's structure, with its swift progression from romance to tragedy, maintains tension and engagement. Shakespeare skillfully balances moments of humor, romance, and dramatic tension, creating a dynamic and compelling narrative. Impulsiveness and naivety. Some critics argue that Romeo and Juliet's impulsiveness and naivety are unrealistic and undermine the play's tragedy. Their hasty decisions and lack of foresight can be seen as the folly of youth rather than profound romantic passion. Patriarchal society. The play reflects the patriarchal society of its time, where women like Juliet have limited agency and are subject to the will of their fathers and husbands. While this is historically accurate, it can be seen as problematic from a modern perspective. Overemphasis on fate. The emphasis on fate and destiny can be seen as deterministic, reducing the character's agency and responsibility for their actions. The portrayal of fate as an inexorable force can undermine the complexity of the character's choices and motivations. Romeo and Juliet was written around 1595, during the Elizabethan era, a time of cultural and artistic flourishing in England. The play reflects the era's fascination with Italian culture and its emphasis on dramatic romantic tales. The Elizabethan period, under the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, was marked by significant social, political, and cultural developments, which influenced Shakespeare's work. William Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He married Anne Hathaway at 18 and had 3 children. Moving to London in the late 1580s, he became an actor and playwright, eventually joining the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a leading theatre company. Shakespeare wrote approximately 39 plays, including tragedies, comedies, and histories. His works, celebrated for their complex characters and profound insights into human nature, continue to be performed and studied worldwide. Shakespeare died on April 23, 1616, in Stratford-upon-Avon. His legacy as one of the greatest writers in English literature endures. We hope you enjoyed this bite-sized guide to William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Let us know what you think of the book in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. You'll become a literature expert in no time.